Here I am after so many years, hounded by hatred and trapped by fear. I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I'll slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah. Black babies in the womb, shackled and bound, chained by the caveman who keeps beauty down, smacked on the ass when they're squalling and wet. And to us mindless men who never forgets, never forget that he's a prisoner. Can't you hear my plea? 'Cause I need somebody, Lord knows, to listen to me. I'm a stranger to my son who wonders.
Peace and love. Welcome again to the NEPPC podcast. I'm Brother Frank, and I'm with former political prisoner
Abdul Haq Islam.
Today's episode, we focus on summer 2023. You know, summer starts off with the month of June. June is that month that a number of things is happening because June is anti-gun violence month. It's also Black Music Month, and it's also the month of Juneteenth, right? So these areas we need to focus on, and those are the areas we're going to focus on today, because when you celebrate Juneteenth, is the time where people of African descent are focusing on that long history of slavery and what does that mean for us. We still got more work to do to be able to express self-determination at our highest level, but in order for us to get anywhere further, we have to look at how we got there, the sacrifices above us, the martyrs, the political prisoners. And that leads us to our platform, all right, the political prisoner. The political prisoner is present because of the need to fight for an oppressed people. And those political prisoners must not be ignored. They must be discussed. So this summer, make it a powerful summer. Go out, enjoy yourself, but make sure you have powerful discussions that children are going to get inspiration from, children who are going to have to deal with the reality that because of who they are, working class people of African descent, that they are uh, in a position of being oppressed and exploited until the fight reaches the level of empowerment. So that's very important that our children understand that. It's very important that our family understand that because nobody gets nowhere without the sacrifice of others. Brother Abraham.
Yeah, peace and love. Right on, brothers and sisters out there in in the viewing audience. We talk about Juneteenth. We talking about music. We talking about the gun. Okay, you can sit in a colonizer's classroom 8 years. You understand? 4 years in high school, then forever in college, and never be taught that it was black soldiers with guns in their hands, you understand, that won the Civil War, that ended slavery. You'll never hear that unless you have black control of education, black control of culture, black control of what we're communicating. You understand? The words in our music and our poetry and all that. You will never know. The North was losing the war. It was black soldiers with that fighting and wanted to rumble, coming out, to get out of slavery, to free themselves. Now we did that. If we listen to the colonizer, we'll see Juneteenth as a day to party, eat barbecue, and get drunk and act a fool. You understand? But with black people being in control of those significant days, we'll get the true message of what Juneteenth is all about. You understand? And our youth will get the true message what Juneteenth is all about. We'll discover that we are not a hopeless, helpless, N-word, type of people who could be kicked around, smacked upside the head, disrespected, punked. You understand? That no, that ain't us. We are an upright people. We fight for our rights. The same thing with the music. This is Black Music Month, and I want to make a distinction between black music and N-word music. Black music and N-word music is two different things. The literal definition of N-word is something totally worthless. Now I don't go around and buy N-word music, but sometimes it's blasting, out the cars that are going by. Like people think that this is something that everybody need to hear. They be talking about shaking behinds and fornicating and having sex with everybody having sex with everybody. Adultery, fornication, and all that. They be talking about selling dope, talking about sex. Talking about murdering one another.
But
That's
fortunately,
N-word
yes,
music.
exactly. But
But
fortunately, like we got albums
we
like
got black music
yes,
though.
like
We
Pieces
got
of
right.
Man.
Black music, right?
Yes.
Piece of Man. Black music. There's a difference, you know. Music that that has a message, a positive message in us, a message in it. You understand, which is beneficial for our people. You know, has a message of striving. You understand, for perfection, for excellence. You know, that's black music, differentiated from N-word music. You know, and this is something that we can grasp. You understand? Something that we can love. And promote, and which will be very, very beneficial during this very, very significant and critical month of June.
But you know, there's a very powerful, important album that's out where it came out in 1971, and we used that. One of the songs from that album, which is titled "Pieces of a Man" by Gil Scott Heron,
Correct.
came out in 1971, and we used that song as our theme, which is "The Prisoner." Right. So this is a revolutionary album, and it came out 5 years after the Black Panther Party was started.
Yeah.
So he took his position regarding of raising consciousness of the people. So in an interview, he talks about that song that was very popular, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," and he said that what that meant was that the revolution is in your mind. You know, so it's a mind changing experience that the revolution is going to be. And I think that that's very important to understand, because he was playing his role, because music is the anthem, it's the inspiration that people need to fight. So when we talk about June, and we talk about Juneteenth, and we talk about Black Music Month, it's very important that we tie that into our political struggle, our struggle for self-determination.
Right.
And these ideas that were represented on this classical album, "Pieces of Man" by Gil Scott Heron, is about the same thing that political prisoners were fighting for: to advance the people, to liberate the people. And he did his part. And we have to understand that our political prisoners need to be incorporated in anything that we do, because there's nothing that we gain without this struggle. Gil Scott Heron said something that's very important. He said that to ignore part of your life and not speak on it because it might intimidate somebody is not to be very mature. And I think that that's very important, because you have to express accountability wherever you at. So if you're speaking about political prisoners and somebody says, oh, there's no political prisoners in the United States, or they don't feel comfortable with talking about that because it makes them look at things differently, or it makes them stand out as something, or somebody try to dismiss your ideas as you being a conspiracy theorist. And you still have to take a stand on what's correct, and regardless of how somebody feels. So that's a very important point that we need to address, because who defines freedom for you, and who defines your political prisoners? These are serious questions we have to ask ourselves, because the answers is going to determine what actions we're going to take, or what demand that we put out there, not only for ourselves, but for our people that we associate with, the people that we need to be with us, so we could raise their consciousness. And from raising their consciousness, that could lead to specific actions. And I think that needs to be talked about in the upcoming summer. It's like, what do you want out of this summer, right? Summer, the weather's hot, you're barbecuing, you're picnicking, you're really enjoying yourself. And, it's very important that we do what needs to be done to raise awareness about our political prisoners, so they don't become forgotten. And we continue to fight and move them forward, and move the ideas forward regarding fighting for their freedom, because we don't want them to die in prison. So that was the point that I was making regarding black music.
Right on.
And so take us to 1971, right? What do you remember about 1971?
Well, yeah, that was the time when Gil cut his album, what we're talking about. It was a time of renewed consciousness, of uprising, of people, developing and being all that they could be. There was, a couple of periods, the 60s and the 70s, well known for people standing up to the so-called man, And we're talking about Juneteenth, and there was a period. What the Juneteenth relates to political prisoners, in that Juneteenth was a period. The freedom of slavery was liberation, of people liberating themselves. And that is what our political prisoners were engaged in, liberation, So we talk about Juneteenth and the people being liberated, and, we relate that to those who fought for our liberation, liberation fighters, black liberation fighters, you understand? Very, very important to us, and we must honor them, and you know, truly define our own blackness, because our enemy would have us to say that this is something that can be erased from our history. So black people uh, in control of the expression of our own blackness will recognize political prisoners, who fought for liberation, you understand, and will continue that fight for liberation by fighting for their freedom.
Absolutely, because and then we have to think when we look at Juneteenth, right, and we look at the struggle for us to move forward, the struggle for us to get so-called free. We have to look at the casualties, right? Early political prisoners was Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, anybody who took a stand, even John Brown, right? Because John Brown was actually a martyr, right? But so when we look at these political prisoners, they are part of that legacy, that long line of resistance, that long line of people saying, no, I won't do what you're telling me to do or what you're trying to force me to do.
And they are wealth that have been stolen from us.
Absolutely.
And we demand reparations, in that spirit, there must be a demand, you understand? There must be, when we talk about the history, the evil, the very, very violent history that we've been through, you understand, must put some great, great energy, but some great, great fight in us, you understand, to stand up and resist, very, very powerfully, and the fight for our political prisoners must take on that character, you understand, and that spirit, and in that, right now, there is a bill for reparations, you understand, that the state has taken up. Charles Barron had formulated a bill for reparations, which involved the participation of the masses. But now the state has taken it up, the very, very enemy who's murdered millions of our people. So, how can we trust them to, be a champion for a bill for reparation? That's like Hitler, you understand, being the judge and jury of the Nazi Party. You understand?
Yes, so we have to organize people and make sure that they advocate for that. And one thing about Charles Barron wrote political prisoners on their behalf. He visited Jalil Abdul Muhtar King several times, and it's very important that we know who's fighting for us and who's truly in our interests. And Charles Barron definitely represents that.
Yeah. And, as we teach history, black history, to our own people, we must remember all the crimes. And indeed, the December 12th movement, came with the understanding that slavery was a crime against humanity. And the crimes continue to be perpetrated by that same enemy, the same enemy now who is deciding about making decisions on the reparations bill. The same enemy murdered millions of dark-skinned people with COVID-19. You understand? By pocketing the money which could have went into state-of-the-art medical facilities for black people, which could have saved many, many lives. But millions of black people, very, very unproportional to everybody else, died because of COVID-19, because the enemy pocketed the money, stole the money. So this is another crime. Crimes keep being perpetrated again and again and again, and the stolen lives of our political prisoners, it is one of those crimes, you know.
Absolutely, because you can't exclude the political prisoner from any of these struggles.
Correct.
You're talking about oppression. You're talking about exploitation, and then you need to deal with the actions that have to address that. And the political prisoners are those actions, right? They're standing up, they're fighting back, and they're organized. So
Right.
that's how we relate all those issues to the political prisoner.
Right. So, the enemy, has a strategy that we will be a nation of little innocent little puppies, scared to death, you understand, will never stand up for anything, but will follow the slave master down the street, sniffing his behind, begging, for something to come out of there, out of his behind, you understand, instead of us being like lions. You understand, like a political prisoners were.
Yes.
Our freedom fighter. You understand, being like lions, and have these lions among us. You understand, so that we will stand up and be magnificent kings and queens. You understand that we are naturally.
Yes, and when we use that term, kings and queens, we talking about serving of the people. Right?
Correct.
So that's how we using it, and that's how we mean it, right? We're out here serving the people. Right? What do we mean about serving the people? We're raising the people's consciousness. We're reminding people that you have to stand up and fight back. You're a person of color. You're a person who's of the working class community, and therefore there's a system that is attacking you, and it has been implemented, or it came into being on your backs, on your blood, sweat, and tears. And we have to understand that in order for us to move forward and get the things that we need, whether it's food, clothing, shelter, all of the three or one of the three, we have to struggle. We have to fight. Going to work from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday is not enough, right? Because you're going to have what they say that you can have, but the system that we live in, the society we live in, are going to make you choose one out of the three that I just mentioned. Either you're going to have to eat, or you're going to have a place to stay, or you're going to have clothes. You don't have enough to have all three. But what I'm saying, and how does that relate to the political prisoner, is that, the political prisoner fought for a humane world. A world where, you can work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and have enough for adequate food, clothing, and shelter. That has to address capitalism and, how it functions and the fundamentals of it. So I think that, this coming summer, political prisoners need to be discussed wherever you at, do what needs to be done. As I've mentioned before, I had this hoodie made, and I'm on a train today, and I see somebody looking at it. It always draws attention. So this summer, try to do the same thing. This Saturday, if you happen to be in New York, one of the 5 boroughs, if you live there, or even if you don't, or you're visiting somebody, and the boardwalk in Coney Island, you're going to see that red, black, and green flag. It's a tribute to the ancestors.
Correct.
So there'll be a number of people there showing respect to the ancestors. Some of our political prisoners are now ancestors, and we got to respect their work, their body of work. But the highest level of respect to anybody, just like we talk about we talk about Coltrane Shimaranga. The highest respect that you can have to anybody is the work that you do, based on your encounter with this person or these people, and you say that I respect them. What are you doing? Right? Respect is something you do, not say. Just as love is something you do, not say. And I think that that's very important. Right? We stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. What are you doing about that? Our political prisoners are in prison. We need to organize. We need to bring them home. Join committees. Write letters. Set a goal this summer to write a political prisoner. Once that letter is written back or response is made to you, then you build that relationship. You take your time, you remain in your comfort zone, but at least you did your job. Your job was to make sure somebody who fought for you is not being forgot about, because I think that's worse than being incarcerated, to be forgotten. But brother, the power of a written letter and the power of June, the upcoming summer, there's a tendency to be increase in violence. This is Gun Violence Awareness Month, right?
So I was about to mention.
Yeah,
I was
so
about to raise that part,
raise
but
that, brother. Go ahead, brother.
one of the things that we're dealing with is the gun violence. Sometimes we seem to think that we must be hypnotized into believing that summer means we got to be violent. You know, um, and we're looking at this whole thing about the gun. Um, like I say, it was black men with guns in their hands that won the Civil War. That's one aspect of the gun. You understand? But when we talk about gun violence, we talk scientifically about gun violence, and we do a little observation and analysis. We'll see that those people who adhere to the philosophy of people like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, the Black Panther Party, they do not commit gun violence against other black people. What science does, science looks at phenomena, then see if that phenomena is reproduced. You understand? You have the same phenomena, the same causes and effects, in different situations, and we see that cross country, when you have thousands of black people that come together in the spirit of black nationalism, you have zero violence. We have other people who listen to N-word music, they got a whole lot of violence. It was some dude out there, it's been a while back though, he's on TV talking about, I'm not a psychological expert, but I don't think that the music has anything to do with people's behavior. I wrote him back. I said, I am a psychological expert, and the music does have something to do with the violence. So the culture that we share, us taking control of our culture as members of the Stop the Killing campaign, we look at culture and taking control of our culture, not being controlled and hypnotized by some words that tell you that you must act a certain way. You must act like a monkey. You understand? And go out here and murder somebody to look just like you.
Exactly, because like when you just mentioned the Stop the Killing campaign, and you just remember the December 12th movement, and these are very important, powerful organizations that we belong to. And I think that, the Stop the Killing campaign being a formation out of the December 12th movement, we have to make sure that people understand that there's a direct link to what we're doing when we out in the street struggling for self-determination and the political prisoner. We say that, the political prisoner was out amongst the people and doing what we're doing. And in the spirit of respecting the political prisoner, we're speaking about them, but we're also doing work that they had done at one point in life. And even whatever they're doing while they're incarcerated in prison, because you have people writing to them, and they become like a consultant to those affairs out in the community regarding organizing the community and raising the community's consciousness. So I think that people need to understand the connection to what's going on and the political prison.
Yeah, and indeed, political prison like Veronza Bowers, when people got beef in the prisons, whoa, look at that. When they have beef in the prison, the prison authorities go and consult and bring different of our political brothers and sisters, you understand, up into the conversation to resolve the conflicts, and they can serve the same role out here in the street, you understand, instead of rotting away in the penitentiary.
Absolutely, and that's why we do what we do, because we understand the importance of being active and staying committed to what needs to be done and the time that we have to do it, because it's up to us to change the conditions for the next generation. Because when we look at Gil Scott Heron, as we just spoke about earlier, and we look at this album, Pieces of a Man, there was one song, right? There was a number of songs that stood up, but that song Save the Children, right?
Yeah.
It talked about, the children are the future. We have to make sure we teach them right, make sure we let them know that they have to stand up and fight, and guide them right. And how do we guide the children if we're not organizing ourselves or we're not being the example of what should be done regarding the current conditions. We must confront that. We must stand up and we must fight back, and we must educate our children on political prisoners, right? Because those are people who did the work, and those are people who continue to do the work wherever they at. And while we're out in the community, we have to give the children a fighting chance, right? We give them a fighting chance by educating them and letting them know that this is what needs to be done, and this is why it needs to be done. Because nothing that's going to happen that benefits you is going to happen without you not standing up and fighting back.
Let the children know that the world will soon be theirs, you know. And, right now, we're fighting to save the world, but very, very soon, that is going to be their job and their responsibility to save the world,
Absolutely, absolutely. And, we have to be the example of what they need to do and what they can do.
Right.
And we have to stand up, fight back, be firm in our fight, and be convincing with our argument.
Yeah.
And we're taking our position, being mature, as Gil Scott-Heron and Malcolm X said. That was a very important piece, saying that, it's a lack of maturity to not speak on what's right because you're going to make somebody feel uncomfortable. And it's a lack of political maturity to think that you don't have to get involved in political affairs, in which is something that, once you understand how the political system works, or even the concept of being political or politics, you understand how it relates to common people, everyday people, right? What is your relationship to power? What are you going to struggle for, right? Because power dictates what's going to happen to you today, tomorrow, and the day after. So if you don't understand that, or you're not active on that, then you're delusional.
Yeah, power is the ability to make plans and make those plans happen, And, this is a very, very important thing that we need to fight for. Some black power, So the next generation, has to understand, the need for some black power. And black power is a theme that our political prisoners knew and fought for. They voiced it and they lived it.
Indeed. So, brother, our time is up. We made our commitment. We made our stance. And for those who are interested in picking up and getting involved in this fight, contact us at 347-679-3936 or email us at Sefusankofa, that's SEFUSANKOFA at Gmail. I'd love to have you aboard. It's going to take more of us, but, whoever's willing to do the work, Black Power, salute to you. For those who are not ready, I catch you when I catch you, or we'll catch you when you catch you. Peace and love, everybody.
What's the call?
Free 'em all.
What's the call?
Free 'em all.
What's the call?
Free 'em all.